Hey all, Hiba here. So welcome to a new series of videos that I am now working on, where I will look at players in the community that I like to call legendary players, or legends of legends, I guess. And what they really are players that have somehow, some way, made an impact on the game or the community in pretty much any way possible. So this first video here is focusing on a player called Black Priest, and I picked him because he's been an active member of the community, especially on Facebook and Discord, pretty much from day one. He's one of the truly great destroyer players out there. There's a few of those, but he's one of the first ones that I bumped into in my Legends journey. He has his own YouTube channel with the tutorials, helpful tips and tricks on especially destroyer play, because that's his thing. And on Facebook and Discord, he's always helpful to new players with advice on playstyle and builds. And I'm sure you know that he is not afraid to make his opinion known. And that's, one of the charming things about Black Priest. Now, usually I will try to incorporate actual gameplay from the player that the video is about, but it just wasn't possible for this video here, so instead you just have to live with a video where I'm in a division with Black Priest. So what I did was that I asked Black Priest a bunch of questions about the game and how he plays it, and then we're going to go through them here in the video, and it should give you a pretty good insight to who he is and how he plays the game. And of course, should you see Black Priest out in the wild and perhaps even be so lucky as to sink him, well, you can pretty much notch up a trophy on your belt then, considering that you have sunk what I consider a legendary player. So the first question is of the simple kind. It is pretty much just what is your game tag, and in this case, of course, it is Black Priest 14. And then also an optional question here: where are you from? And in this case here, Priest has decided to answer and telling us all that he is from Austria. And I knew that because I have been divisioned with Priest on numerous occasions, and getting the time zones to match can be a bit of a problem between Austria and Australia. The next question is also of the simpler kind, and it's pretty much just which system do you play on? And in this case, Priest plays on PlayStation 4. Well, he used to, but of course these days he's switched to PlayStation 5. So if you play on PlayStation as well, then you should be able to friend up with him if you want to. Alright, the next question, we're going to get into a little bit more meaty stuff here, and it's pretty much how long have you played Legends for? And like I said in the beginning, I've seen Priest out there since day one, really, and that's also what he is saying here. He's played since the official release. That was in, I believe, April 2019, and it's about, pretty much the same as me. I installed the game on the day it came out, and I've been playing it ever since. So Priest's been playing for 3 years now. He's had a complete 6 months break after about 2 years because he got tired of the game, and right now he's also on a 6 week break, and he's not sure if he's going to return because in his opinion the game is stalled for a number of reasons, and there's not much left for him to work towards, really. Alright, next up, of course, I want to know what is Priest's favorite ship. And of course, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a destroyer, because that's Priest's thing, more or less. It's the most strategic class in his opinion, and for the ship itself, his favorites are Kamikaze at tier 4, quick and dirty noob killer, Anshan at tier 5, decent all-rounder, pretty much good cruiser hunter, Yukikaze at tier 6, I like that one myself, the guns are really strong on that ship, Le Fantasque at tier 7, speed and concealment build, Sumner at tier 8, a nice all-round, and Kleber in legendary, speed and concealment build. So these are Priest's favorite ships at different tiers. So, well, you can either agree or disagree. Alright, then as a segue from the favorite ship, we're going to turn into what the favorite class is for Black Priest. And to no one's surprise, his favorite class is Destroyers. And I mean, I always see him in a Destroyer when I see him. And according to Priest, Destroyers are far more strategic in higher tiers than the other classes. I tend to agree with that. Battleships in higher tiers only have to worry about their broadside, so it's a one-time decision not to broadside. They only have to worry about torpedoes from time to time, but all they do is play with throttle and rudder, and that's it. And yeah, you can agree with that, or you can disagree with that. As for cruisers, it's similar, but more fragile, so less room for mistakes, and that's true. As such, more complicated to play, but basically the same strategic elements. Destroyers, on the other hand, have to worry for their concealment, since they are basically dead within 10 seconds if spotted, and that's also true. Concealment can be broken by enemy DDs, by planes, CVs, spotter planes, sonar, radar, and there's so much to watch out for every single second of the game. And then it's fast-paced action, and well, that's true. There's really nothing more fast-paced than a knife fight in 2 destroyers, and I agree that it is quite an adrenaline rush when it happens, and it does get something that you want to repeat over and over. And I guess that's why there's a lot of people who just stick to destroyers, simply because you get that rush. Alright, so next up I'm asking him what his favorite tier is, and as for tiers, he doesn't really have a real favorite. Tier 4 is fun. Tier 5 and 6 more challenging and of course more rewarding, and 7 and 8 you have all the strategic elements of the previous tiers and a little bit more, of course. So legendary, always top tier, but lots of players who have less knowledge of the game plays high tiers, and that's kind of a downer for the experience. So next up I'm asking what his favorite map is, and disappointingly enough he doesn't have a favorite map. So not much to come for here, unfortunately. I mean, most players have favorite maps, but apparently not Black Priest. Alright, next up I'm asking Priest what is the best thing about Legends, and his answer is the short 15-minute games, strategic decisions having to be made in a short time, and it could have been a true esports major player like StarCraft and all the other things like that, and I totally agree with that. I still feel like Wargaming is holding this game back because they're not implementing especially clans and stuff that could propel this game in the esports world. Alright, I'm sure you guessed the next question, and it is of course, what is the worst thing about Legends? And for Black Priest, the worst thing is that it's totally repetitive. In his opinion, they recycle ships, events, captains, and so on, rename them, change a stat or two, and then sell it again for 15,000 doubloons. There's a lack of skill-based levels in the game. Everything is about grinds and wallet warriors. Ranked is pay for rank, and by that he means that you have to buy all the boosters if you want to get yourself to the top based on the XP calculations, and that's garbage apparently. And also Wargaming claims to have no resources, but they do all these weird modes like race, space, brawl and stuff, and on the other hand they ignore the players asking for clans and stats and all the other more, hardcore additions to the game. So the next question is on the social aspect of the game, because some players prefer to play in a division, and other players, like myself, prefer to play solo. So Priest, like myself, plays mostly solo, about 95% according to him. It's hard for him to align his time with other players around the world in different time zones, and like I said in the beginning, I know exactly how that's like. And he can better focus on the game, which helps him to become a better player, especially when decisions need to be taken in fractions of seconds. And battleships are easier to play in a division due to the more laid-back playstyle. Alright, that brings us to the last question. And this one is more of, wishful thinking. So say that, Prince Blip came to knock on Black Priest's door and say, next update you can get whatever you want in the game. What do you want? What is the one thing you want? And Priest is a little bit tricky here because he's not just mentioning one thing, he's actually mentioning more than one thing, but that's okay. But what he really wants to see, and that also goes for myself actually, is competitive leaderboards. That you should be able to reset, like for example every month or something like that, whatever you feel like. No boosters, premium elements allowed. I'm assuming that's for ranked, just basic XP on standard games. And of course, a custom game mode for show reasons. And that could be like a clan mode or training rooms, where you can set up custom matches and you can pick your opponents, be they just single persons or clans. And a mode to make this game here at least a contender for the esports scene, because as Black Priest is also alluding to, then there's a lot of wasted potential here that wargaming just don't seem to care about, and that's a shame. Anyway, I hope this video here gave you a little bit of an insight into who Black Priest is and what he likes and what he thinks of the game. And of course, there will be a lot more videos like this, so stay tuned. And do comment on the video, anything you agree with or don't agree with. I want to hear it, and so does Priest. So hope you enjoyed it, and see you out there.